Scott Spears here with you today doing another Spears Report, and today I wanted to talk about the celebrity interview I think I've liked the most out of all the ones I've ever done. That's a very hard question to answer because, to be perfectly honest, I've gotten to interview a lot of great people. Helen Thomas certainly comes to mind, the Iron Sheik, Art Linkletter, Dom DeLuise, B. Arthur, Betty White, Rue McClanahan, Dom DeLuise, Jack LaLanne, Lou Albano, Sam Reese Shepard, the son of Dr. Sam Shepard, Dr. George Nicopolis, Elvis's doctor. Really had my fair share of Ed Koch, former mayor of New York. Really have had my fair share of celebrity interviews. Mike Connors, who was Mannix, and Tony Curtis, who was hilariously funny. But the one that I love the most probably will not shock many people, but it's Phyllis Diller. And let me tell you why. Phyllis won't remember this, but when I was in college, I was not in college to be a journalism. In fact, I've never taken a journalism class in my life, and I've never done anything of that nature, broadcasting. I'm a glorified amateur, really, in what I do. And when I was in college, I was an English education major, ended up with a bachelor's degree from Ohio State in education. But when I was in college, I thought it would be cool if I started to do interviews with celebrities for papers I was doing, biographical interviews, because I'd always somewhat been interested in celebrities. But I was a novice interviewer, like I said, never taking a class, had no idea, didn't know what I was doing from anything. One of the people, this is probably about 2003, who agreed to give me an interview, to my surprise, was Phyllis Diller. And I remember I was doing the interview with Phyllis. Like I said, she won't remember this. But I was doing the interview with Phyllis, and I was really not asking good questions. And I look back on it now and I think, boy, those questions really stunk. Somebody should have put those questions out of their misery. But I got to like the third question, and I'll never forget it. The question I asked was, Phyllis, what's your favorite joke? And she really, I don't think, thought that was a good question. And I remember she said, Scott, she said, these questions are really not good. These questions are not great. Bad questions. Now, she said it very graciously. It didn't, it kind of took me aback, but at the end of the interview, I remember she was very encouraging. You know, where do you go to school at? Where do you live in Ohio? You'll get better. Don't think anything of it. She was just giving constructive criticism to help me, and I know that's what she was doing by the end of the interview. But it was a great thrill of mine to talk to her. Never thought I'd get to do it again. Then I remember when I actually got into broadcasting, which is a long story, kind of strange, how I ended up in broadcasting. I thought, I really want to talk to Phyllis Diller again. I loved talking to her the first time, and I think doing it again would be great. Got her on the phone again and had a good interview. I wouldn't say it was spectacular, but we did an interview on her career, and it was a biographical interview, and I loved it because I love talking to Phyllis Diller. She's candid, she's funny, and I think a lot of people in this country have the wrong impression because of the hair that's just crazy, and the gloves, and the dresses, and the jewels, and the colors. Maybe they think Phyllis isn't as smart as she is. She's a very smart woman. Very smart woman, and she's candid, and she's brilliant, and she knows a lot about everything. So an interview with her is always good. And then after that, I've done several interviews with her. We've talked about plastic surgery. We've talked about being 90 years old. We've talked about celebrity friends of hers who've passed away. We've talked about remembering celebrity friends who have passed away. We've done interviews on Christmas shows. We've done so many things, and there's so many funny stories I have about her. And I want to get a couple of them in because I love them, and I love her. And let me tell you this, by the way, she has a wonderful assistant named Carla, and every time I get an idea, because it always seems like whatever I'm doing, I don't know if it's an Ohio thing, but every time I write a part or want to do an interview or want to fill a week or want to do something really big, like if I'm doing a first show or I'm doing a Christmas special or something like that I want to be big, I always want Phyllis Diller there. To some degree, she makes me feel comfortable, and I know she'll be good, and I know the audience will love it. One of my first memories of her in big time radio for me was I'd set up an interview with her on her 90th birthday. And I remember the big thing on her 90th birthday was she was going to go on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, and they were going to celebrate her 90th birthday. Well, like 2 days before her 90th birthday, she had hurt her back, and she had to cancel that appearance. And I remember seeing that over the AP wire, and I thought, well, there goes my interview. I mean, goodness, if she's not going to do Jay Leno, she's certainly not going to do me. But she did. Go figure. She did not cancel the interview with me, and she did it, and she was wonderful, and she was gracious. Another thing I remember, there's three more that really come to mind. I guess this is why I have a great affection for her, because there's a lot of things in my mind that stick out we've done. She did a Christmas special with me. It was my first Christmas special. And she was going to call in from California. We were doing it at 6 p.m. Eastern time on the air, and 3 p.m. California time. But it was going to be live. She was going to do a call-in. It was like 2 days before Christmas. And it just so happened the famous comedian, to some degree, Gallagher, was in Ohio, where I live, and he agreed to do my show the day of the show. So he actually came in the studio. So I remember I got Phyllis Diller on the line, put her on hold, and Gallagher's sitting in the studio with me. Now, he had told me he was compiling a list of the greatest comedians of all time, and Phyllis Diller was on the list, and he had never talked to her, and I said, well, she's going to be on the line in just a second. Now, this is live radio. I'll never forget this. My first Christmas special, and I thought it'd be my last. We got Phyllis Diller on, and I introduced her to Gallagher, and she was gracious, and Gallagher loved talking to her. But I remember there was a tense moment in the interview where Gallagher had misstated some facts. He said that the first female comedian had been Moms Mabley or something of that nature, and Miss Diller said, no, I was really the first female comedian, and they kind of got into a little dust-up over that. And I remember Phyllis just laying him out, and she did it with humor, and I'll tell you how she did it. Gallagher was saying something, and they just got into this little battle of wits. And that's one thing you don't want to do with Phyllis Diller. You don't want to get into a battle of wits. And I remember she said a line on this Christmas special as they were kind of talking about female comedians. She said, at my age, I pretty well know everything. She was in her 90s at the time. Very funny. I pretty well know everything. In fact, do you know what the best contraceptive is for old people? And she took a beat and said nudity. And she just laid him to waste. I thought I was going to be kicked off the radio because, do you really say that during a Christmas special? But her timing was great. She knew better than I. She laid Gallagher to waste, and she was wonderful. The next encounter that I remember with Phyllis Diller, which was great, was after I did the interview with Helen Thomas that garnered me the Associated Press Award. I wanted to do an interview with Phyllis Diller. They gave me my own show on Saturday morning, and the first guest I wanted was Phyllis Diller. And I remember she graciously did the interview with me on the first episode, and she said such kind things about me in that first interview on the new show that it takes me back to this day. I really get chills thinking about it. When you think about the first interview we did, the questions weren't great, and then she said, we're so aware of your talent out here, Scott, in L.A., and whether she meant it or not, it really kind of gave me a certain degree of confidence that I think I didn't have up until that point. And I'll always be gracious to her for that. The other story that I have of Phyllis Diller is one that I think kind of tells why I feel so comfortable with her, and maybe why I accost her with requests all the time. I had written something for Thanksgiving in which I wanted a celebrity to be a Butterball hotline operator. And I'd written like 6 jokes, and I thought it'd be very funny and if we did it online and so on and so forth. And I remember the first person I wanted to do was Phyllis Diller. I wanted her to play the part. And I sent it to her, and I wasn't sure if she'd do it. Well, Carla, her wonderful assistant, wrote back and said, she'll do it. And I thought, wonderful. So here I had the script in front of me, and we sit down a week before Thanksgiving to do the interview. The script, really, not really an interview. And we did like the first 3 lines, and then Phyllis totally went away from the script and became funnier than the script was, without any doubt. And I went along with her. And we did the whole thing improvised off the script. That was probably funnier than anything that was on the script. And I remember that's when I thought of Phyllis Diller like a friend. Because we had not planned, we didn't say, hey, let's not do the script, let's just play around, let's have some guidelines. There was nothing like that. It was totally improvised, and it was very funny, and it makes me laugh to this day when I hear it. And that's when I realized how gracious Phyllis Diller is. Because essentially she did that for me. She's a wonderful woman. I will accost her with requests until the day one of us is no longer here, because I love her. She just makes me feel better. When I talk to her on radio, I don't take notes. Essentially, it's like having a conversation with a friend. I don't feel that there's a question I can't ask her, and I don't feel there's a question that she's going to take offense to. So that is why she's the best. And quite frankly, one of my goals in life is to own a piece of her artwork. Because if you haven't seen Phyllis Diller's artwork, look at it. It is prolific. It is Jackson Pollock-ish. I love it, and it's my goal as a poor broadcaster to own a Phyllis Diller work of art one day so I can put it up on my wall. Because one thing it does, it makes you feel good. I don't know why it makes you feel good, but it's bright, and it's good, and it's happy, and it's just everything good about art. My bucket list item is probably to meet her face to face. I've never gotten to meet this woman who I have such admiration and reverence for. I would love to meet her one day before that's not able to happen. So maybe one day that'll happen. I don't know. But essentially, I love Phyllis Diller. And I hope we will continue to talk through interviews until there's no more interviews. This is essentially an open love letter to Phyllis. I love her. I think she loves a lot of people. And I think that's why she's been able to live such a long life and enjoy the success she has, because she has no airs, and she's just funny, but she's smart. And smart's not even the word. She's an intellect. And Phyllis, I'll be coming at you with more interview requests. Turn them down if you want, but I can't stop myself, because you are the best. I love you, Phyllis. She always signs her autographs. Love you. Well, Phyllis, we all love you back, and I hope you know that you're engulfed in love. Scott, and your laugh, oh God, Phyllis Diller's laugh makes you feel good. I'm running out of time here, so I got to wrap this up, but I could talk about Phyllis Diller till I'm blue in the face. She's really done something for me in my life that I'll never forget. Been a pal, and that's how I think of her. A pal, gracious lady, wonderful woman, Phyllis Diller. Scott Spears headed to the dugout.